Hello, welcome. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the 2nd Infantry Division, who were a regular Army Infantry Division in the Second World War. It's one of the impressions that I portray well, and I've researched quite a bit. So I was going to be talking to you about their journey through the Second World War, when they began in the BEF and ended up in the Far East in India, in Coma. In particular, in the 2nd Infantry Division, I've looked at the 4th Infantry Brigade, Norfolk Regiment, 2nd Battalion, after a man named John Tremlin. There he is, John Tremlin there. I've got all of his pictures, which I'll be showing you along this video, including diary as well, which is very nice. So starting with the 2nd Infantry Division, they were established in 1809, disbanded in 2012. Just a bit of background information, but I'm mainly focusing on the Second World War. So, in September 1939, they became part of the BEF and were sent to fight alongside France. The 2nd Battalion in particular held the line of, pardon my French, I'm not very good with the pronunciation, but Le Bassy Canal. But before I go into a bit more detail about the France, I'll just show you these pictures I've got in front of you now. This is John Tremlin here, and this is when he joined the army before the Second World War. So you can see the mix of First World War, Second World War kit, recognisable kit there. Got some group photos where the officers are in SDs and everyone else is in the BDs there. Yeah, nice little pictures there I've got, but like I said, in particular, I'm looking at the Second World War. So we've got two pictures in his BDs, perhaps what he would have worn in BEF. Obviously, there's no insignia there. They didn't wear insignia with the BEF, British Expeditionary Force. Where was I? Yeah, so 2nd Battalion held the line of Le Bassy Canal, and on their retreat from France, retreat to Dunkirk, they were driven from France in May 1940. They were then evacuated to England with few casualties, 2 members winning the VC. But within that journey, I think 2 units were detached. They held the defensive at Duray's farmhouse in Le Paradis village. But in the afternoon of the day that they were detached, they became surrounded by SS Totenkopf, which was the Death Head units, and 97 men were taken prisoner after they surrendered, and they were marched to a nearby farm where they were lined up against the wall and killed. So unfortunately they were massacred. So that moment in history is remembered as great war crime. So the SS men were trialed and found guilty of war crimes. Not very nice, but in particular I'm focusing on the Far East, so I'm going to move on now. So after they were retreated from Dunkirk, they were stationed in Yorkshire, serving under the 1st Corps, being re-equipped, ready for Operation Sea Lion, which was the Nazis' code name for the invasion of Britain following the fall of France. So they sort of acted as reserves should the Nazis invade, which luckily they didn't. But after this, in December 1941, Japan entered the war in the Far East. So in early April 1942, the 2nd Infantry Division were sent to India for security and training. This could be known as the Indian Interlude. And here the journey to India is recorded in John's diary. So we've got where he left and all the places they sailed and arrived. They stayed for a few days along the journey. We've got here that they arrived in Bombay on June, and then they left Bombay for Chinwad Camp, which is where they later went. And we've got a couple of extracts there, which he wrote and recorded his journeys, which is rather nice to look at, which is where I've got most of the information from. But yes, they went to India for security and training. They landed on the 10th of April in Bombay, where they spent some time. And here I've got a Welcome to Bombay book, which is what they probably would have been given when they arrived. So it gives you lots of places of cinema, little information that people might want to know. You've got a map of Bombay there. It'll open. There you are, I've got a map of Bombay, you've got all the places, so out of bounds, so they're only allowed to go in a certain place. We've got football, swimming baths, canteens, clubs, cinemas, docks, all places of interest which the locals would have put together there. Anyway, so I've also got some pictures to add to that of the interlude. We've got some pictures in his KDs that he would have been given. Possibly could have bought them as the Indian locals made money out of the khaki drill making that. We've got some pictures in his trousers and jacket with the slouch hat there. And then the group pictures as well. They've all got their pith helmets, Worsley pith helmets, which is rather nice. We've got a photo in front of the Taj Mahal in Bombay. There we are, just some nice pictures there. This is the impression that I do portray at events you may have seen. The 2nd Infantry Division in India, in the Indian interlude. So obviously they met the locals there and they formed strong friendships, I suppose. But in April 1944, the Japanese invasion of India took place. So the 2nd Infantry Division joined the 14th Army 33rd Corps at Dimapur. Pardon my Indian, I'm not very good with the translations as well. So they went to Dinapur to fight its way to Coma. So I think I've got some more pictures here. So sort of, you might have seen these pictures before, they are common, but I found them amongst John's lot. You see they're on the road there to Coma, fighting their way to Coma, where they relieved Coma on the 18th of April after the Japanese ran out of supplies, so withdrew from Coma, and the battle ended in May 1944. So the 2nd Infantry Division were then tasked to advance to Imphal with the 7th Indian Infantry Division, and Imphal was then relieved in June 1944. So they're not quite battle, but these are the ones in Coma there. We've got a slouch hat, more worn down kit, very hot, so he's sweating. They couldn't really wash the kit much. We've got some pictures there with their rifles. They went on a hunt, as you can see there. They caught a wild boar with some of the locals. But as I say, the 2nd Infantry Division were tasked to advance to Imphal, which was relieved in June 44, and after this they continued fighting in Burma until March 1945, when they were then sent back to India for rest. Following this, they were then joined by new forces and proceeded with amphibious operations until the end of the war. A couple other bits I've got of interest here. Field service postcard sent back to his wife there. So it's sort of do with the censoring. It's April 1944, so he has to sort of cross out what's not appropriate. So he said, "I'm quite well. I've received your letter. The letter follows at first opportunity." So he's sort of letting his wife know that he's seen the letter and he'll send one soon. Because this was through the army, it would have gone a lot quicker than any normal. And then here we've got a letter that he sent on card there by airmail. So we've got past censor, so nothing, I don't think anything's been crossed out, so he hasn't had anything censored, so everything was okay. But yeah, that's another nice piece there. So I've got a lot of John's things. This isn't his, but it was what he would have worn, the slouch hat there with the 2nd Infantry Division cross keys. That's the insignia, in case you didn't know. Another nice piece I wear when I'm doing the impression. So that was very brief history on the 2nd Infantry Division, Norfolk Regiment. One of the other books I got a lot of information from was this, the 2nd Norfolk Regiment, from Peter Hart, full of really good resources, photos, maps and information there. So yeah, please do give that a read if you want to know more. If I haven't summed anything up, if I've said something incorrect, please let me know. Thank you very much.